This is Sarah again. I realized when I did a cash stuffing that wasn't on camera that I had hit my goal for saving from my covers, which I estimate at $300 every year. This is because each cover cost me $100, and I like to have a $100 buffer in case I need something that I didn't anticipate cover-wise. That could be doing the full paperback wrap, recovering something I've already covered but needs an update for some reason. And with so many books out, I tend to keep them in a series. Now, the cover designers I use are 100 covers. This is not an expensive cover design group, but they are good. They are paying attention to the market, to what's going on. And the most difficult thing as an author, and there are many difficult things as an author, but one of the more difficult things is when you decide to publish is the cover you imagined your book having that you as a reader might want, or you as the author think other readers want, and what the market actually does. And I have a couple examples. If you look at my romantic comedy 21st Century Austen series, this was the original cover of Modern Persuasion, the first book in the series. I designed this, but I have no knowledge at this point. I have just sort of thrown things together. But I knew the cover, the name, and I wanted, because I, as a reader, don't like seeing people's faces on a cover. I didn't want people on my cover. I thought hands would be enough of a romantic gesture for my readers to understand they were getting a romance book. Between that, the heart, this isn't a terrible cover, but it wasn't appropriate for what I was writing. And at that point, I was struggling to identify what specific subgenre of romance I was writing in. Because Jane Austen isn't pure romance. She's much more women's fiction. But my books had a comedic element to them. But I got to that a little later. The second cover, which I'm going to display on the screen, was something that was gifted to me by a fellow author who kept seeing my book in giveaways that she was part of and running those giveaways, and said, "Your cover is standing out, but not in a good way." And I asked for help because I was in the right mindset to not just see it as criticism. And she gifted me a cover that really worked well for a contemporary romance cover at that time. Over the years, I did work on my subgenre, my ideal reader, what and who I wanted for marketing. And I realized I'm writing romantic comedies. And now, in the current market, romantic comedies are illustrated covers. So I went through, and I had already had illustrated covers, but I was working with expensive artists who were not the same people each cover, thus not creating a cohesive cover that leaned into the romantic comedy cues. And the thing about covers is these are your readers' first cues about how much they will enjoy a book. It needs to communicate to them a lot of information. In the case of romance, that this is hopeful and will have a happily ever after. If it's small town contemporary, it has one look. The spicier the sex scenes, either some, none, very hot, slightly problematic, or maybe BDSM, these all have to be communicated on your cover. If you're in horror, it needs to be dark. If it has fantasy, there needs to be certain cues. And these change routinely. So keeping up with your covers, especially when you have a long series, is important. So I keep that $100 buffer when those changes happen. The nice thing about 100 covers is each cover is for an ebook only, $100. But if you have a series and you come to them for all the books in the series, they'll give you a 50% discount. I love them. I have loved working with them. Right now, they are doing all my covers because they know the market better than I do. And I don't have time to pay attention because I also work a full-time job and I want to write. I don't want to deal with researching the covers at this stage of my career. I want to write my books. The more books I write, the happier I am. So I let them do that heavy lifting, and I keep going back to them and giving them business by also suggesting you, potentially a publishing author with your own covers to think about, go to them. Now, if you are traditionally published, you get very little to no say in your cover, but trust your publisher has done the market research. If you have control priorities, if you want to have a bigger say, and your cover designer for your traditional publisher is out of touch, by all means, do your research. I'm never going to stop you from doing your research. Research is the best. But also know that they might ignore you. It's their prerogative. They have paid for your book. They are trying to make money. So they have been doing some research. But I am a tired author who has other priorities, like making videos and writing books. So I go to them. That means each cover might be a little less than than $100. $50K is the number of words I write. $100 is the cover cost. Okay, so each year, what I am anticipating is enough room for 3 individual covers. What does 2024 look like now that I have the $300 saved? What do I think I might use them for in 2024? First is the last book in my Austen series. It's called Tilney's Haunted Farm. It's a little bit more fantasy in their romance than romantic comedies are probably used to, but it's fun. But I haven't written it yet. But I'm probably going to request the book cover at the end of the year, because this will get shared in 2025, and I want to have my book cover ready in January of 2025 when I will start sharing this book on Patreon. 2 is Enduring, number 2. This is the second book in a much longer series, but they have, for both of these series, already done covers for me. This means both covers will probably be $50 each for a total of $100, which leaves me a whole $100 of anticipated covers. What might I do with that? Well, while it might happen in 2023, and we'll break this out a little closer, 2023, I have 2 more covers to do with them this year. That's Harshug, which I'm about to approach them about from my Frozen Wasteland series. The tricky thing about this is I had 2 covers made by pre-made cover designers. This is when somebody makes a cover, they give it a generic title, and then they sell the cover and personalize it for you. And these were not expensive covers, but I had not been able to find them when I needed to add a pen name to the book in the series. I had to go from using my full name, Sara Marks, which I was also using for romance books. I realized that readers were confused, not because they were uneducated or stupid, no, but readers like to know they're getting what they get. And a lot of authors do this to make your life as a reader easier, not to suggest you are not intelligent, but to save you time and energy. We use pen names. So you know when you see Sara Marks, you're getting a romance book. But when you see S.R. Marks, you're getting horror and fantasy. It makes your life so much easier to be able to recognize something simple like that. So I had to redesign. There are 2 books already in the series. This is number 3. They redesigned one of those 2 covers for me. One, I had someone do relatively inexpensive because I already had the image licensed and was able to give it to them, and they just had to add the font to make the cover look the same. And then for the second one in the series, 100 Covers redid it at full price, but they updated the image. They found something new that they had a license to because I couldn't find the image on the original cover. And the cover you'll see on Amazon now is the cover they designed with the stock image that they did. But the series doesn't match. The 21st Century Austen series, all those book covers match. If you go and look at that pen name and the books in that series, you'll know those books in that series because they're all illustrated. They all have the same cues in them. And when they start doing the second book in the Enduring series, they already have the work they did on the first cover to lean into for the second one. But the 3 books in the Frozen Wasteland series don't match. And to do that series over, and I have to decide when, could cost maybe $150 for 3 covers. Could this book only be $50 because they had already done Bribery, and I can let them lean into the cover design of the second book, Bribery, to design the third and then redesign the first? Yes. But I have to talk to them about it. So right now, I don't know if this book is going to cost $100. There's $100 budgeted for it, but will it cost $100? And if it doesn't match book 2, do I redo all 3 or just 2? Or am I going to redo 1? So I have to talk to them before I really plan out my 2024 plans for covers. Because this I'm not worried about. But this one in 2023, I am thinking heavily about. And the wonderful thing about them is that I can email the project manager I work with on these covers and say, here's what I'm thinking. Can we lay out what this would cost and the timing of it? And I'm not so much worried about the timing. They work a lot faster when they've already done one cover for you because they know the feel and the vibe that you're looking for. It's really about the money. Because if I'm only going to spend $100 next year, 2024, that gives me $200 to have fun with. But if I'm only recovering another $50 cover because they've done the series for me, I still have $150 left. Then I have a few options. Look ahead, the Enduring series, and I have to save less for 2025. This is the end of the Austen series, so next romance series, box sets of what's already out there, or my Yom Tov series. Yom Tov in Hebrew means good day. It's how we talk about holidays. And I wrote a 4-book series of novelettes. They're short holiday romances. They're very hot, very spicy, lots of good sex scenes for the ladies and men who like heterosexual romances. That's what they are. But this is 4 covers plus the box set. So it's 5 covers. Now, $150 is not going to cover that. But if I'm looking ahead, do I want to save to recover those? So that I'm going to, if I save an additional $300 in the future, if this costs $100 for the first plus $50 times 4, because I have the 4 single standalones and then the box set, that's $300 just to redo those covers. It's not bad to redo 5 books. And this, the box set, might not require them to do the work. I might be able to do that. It's what I did the first time. This would just be updating the covers to reflect whatever the current contemporary romance look is, because it might have changed. And there might be changes that I think, having seen other covers and done a little research myself, that I would rather have reflected on the covers than what's there now. And knowing that I have a desire to re-edit this series, and thus new covers at the same time would be a great rollout of an updated version. These are things I keep in mind as I'm planning on how much money I save. But at this point, I know I'm probably only going to need about $150 of the $300 I've put aside for my cover designers. And one of my strengths is thinking ahead and planning ahead. So as I think about what I'm going to save in 2024 to get ahead, these are the things that are going on in my brain. And I want to do it all. And I want to do it now. But there are other parts of my brain that remind me, I don't have to do it all now. Time continues to move forward. So now that I'm going to be putting the $300 for my covers in the bank so they sit and generate a little bit of interest, maybe a couple bucks over the next year, these are the things I'm going to consider to help me move forward with cover design. Because if I decide I only need 150 of this 300, I might want to either move the rest of that money into another sinking fund, or think about what more I can do with it. And over the next videos, we're going to talk about the potential ways I need to think bigger about the money I'm saving. Because right now, if you've seen any of the other videos, like my May budget, you'll see over here, there are lots of sticky notes about things I'm not even adding here yet that I need to add and need to consider. Things like props for events or photos, the stickers I want to make, because I mean, you've seen the release, the word Kraken in other videos, and this is pretty much my thing. This and unicorns. I love stickers. I want to have swag. I love swag personally. And you might actually see some of the swag get added to some of these videos over time as I buy them. But I need to stop just buying and using my money wisely. So there's a lot of little details that have to be added into this as I get a better handle on things. And when it comes to book covers, having an extra buffer of $150 might either take pressure off of the cover saving or might add a little bonus to the other things I'm trying to save for. It will help me budget better for future books, because I will always have a couple books in process that will be working towards publication, at least 2 a year, maybe even more. And the better I get at planning and budgeting, the easier this will become for me over time. And for any author, looking at the nuances and details of how we spend our money will help us be better planners, to be in control of what we're doing with our publishing. I will keep you posted on how this evolves in other videos and the other savings I do. You are probably seeing this after a recap of the May budget, just because I have a sense of where I'm publishing these videos and when. But yes, the covers has hit its goal since this was filled out. And next we are going to deal with the actual amount I'm going to have to save for editors in the next year, based on what my editors are telling me they need, and my better sense of the annual expenses I have and want to continue to have, and then maybe some other lines of income. You've probably seen some of the videos about the savings challenges I'm doing and that I am making them available, but also I'm going to start an Etsy store with these. Well, I probably already started the Etsy store, let's be honest, but These Release the Kraken stickers will be available for sale. If you are an author and need to get yourself psyched up to write or do something like edit, you got to release the word Kraken. You might need a sticker if you're obsessed with stickers like I am. And now I am going to go kill a fly that got in the house. So you should subscribe to this channel to get more videos. Ring the bell if you want to get notified when they post. As I understand it, YouTube's not great about that, but you're not going to get anything if you don't ring the bell. And if you like this video and want to see more about how I think about my money when it comes to publishing and writing my books, give this a thumbs up and I'll think about more ways to talk about this. And yes, there will be videos on the evolution of the budgeting plan because I will be shortly talking to my book cover designers about Harshug, the third in the Frozen Wasteland series, and the discussion will include what about the rest of the books in this series and what might they quote for the first two. So, thank you. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.